Yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back again to the African Fighters podcast. This is where we talk all things Africans in the space of combat sports, be it wrestling, be it jiu-jitsu, be it kickboxing, Muay Thai, whatever it is. We will follow you as long as you are waving an African flag and you come to our radar. Yes, today the usual quartet of the Wazobia gang, the self-acclaimed peace and unity enthusiast of Nigeria. To my far right, the Igbo representative from Igbo land, all the way from Imo State, Nigeria, by the way of London, England. Ladies and gentlemen, he is a business tycoon, container upon container. Ladies and gentlemen, Ebuka Ogbonna.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Good evening, and you're welcome again today. Let's go.
Let's go. All right, guys. Our new sign-in, not really new signing, unveiling the Yoruba demon,
Unveiling.
all the way from Lagos State via Ondo State via God knows where. Ladies and gentlemen,
Although,
through through London, England, it's my boy and your boy, President Israel Adesanya fan club. It's Ademola Odewade. What's
Wow.
up of the Kingdoms podcast? What's up, my brother?
Wow. Thank you, brother. I'm actually from Osun State, same state as Easy. I'm not fine. I'm actually devastated.
All right, we see you draped up in your Nigerian flag, in your Nigerian garment, and as you know, guys, it's no surprise from the accent and from the facial features, you can tell that these three boys are Nigerians. And last night was no good for us. If you are a combat sports fan and you are from Nigeria, you probably dropped a tear yesterday, cause it was UFC Fight Night from Saudi Arabia, and guys, it was a devastating one.
It be like
I,
seeing Amida and
if you-
Beats.
my heart right now is very cold, and I can tell you this, right? After seeing Usman got knocked out and seeing Easy got finished by Pereira back-to-back months, and then seeing Francis Ngannou go down the trail against Anthony Joshua, guys, I'm talking about the three kings, obviously. I'm going to say this. My
It's the
heart
end of an
is
era.
already ready for these things. I'm going into this fight. I told these guys were the optimistic ones. I was telling them, like, guys, these fights we are watching. Um, it just reminds me of a tweet that our boy Yagi made. Yagi is one of, if you can remember, if you listen to us from the beginning, Yagi used to be part of us, but Yagi got too busy for us. Yagi made a tweet that got so popular that it even got featured on ESPN page. Yagi said he was talking about if your favorite fighter is fighting and you are sat at the edge of your seat, trembling, like there's like I'm not using the exact phrases, but he's talking about trembling when your favorite fighter is fighting. That was exact situation for yesterday. Building up to this fight, we were following very closely, looking at Easy, looking at his body language because the body can tell quite a lot. And I was constantly the negative person here. These two these two blokes right here were being very, very positive, very, very optimistic. And I was telling them, guys, I don't like the look I'm seeing from Easy. If you remember when we were on the phone during the workout, I said, yo, Easy does not look confident here. He looks scared, or he doesn't look like he wants to be here, not scared. And glory be to God, the first round he did not look like that. We saw Easy being offensive, being very busy in the first round. And in my opinion, since I started seeing Easy fight, that was like the perfect first round he would ever have. Like a very complete fighter. He was constantly stuffing takedowns from the middle of the cage, against the cage, everywhere. Anyhow, Imavov tried to get a takedown. Easy was surely stuffing it until 30 seconds into the second round, a big overhand right, and that's all she wrote. Ah, it is apropos that I have to pass this to the President Israel Adesanya fan club and ask him what's going on in the headquarters of Israel Adesanya fan club. How is the emotions right now going up in your building right now, Ademola?
Man, thankfully I was actually on a call with you and Ebuka when it happened. I was devastated. In capital letters, bold italics. Man, I have never been that devastated since following combat sports. In Nigerian pigeon, it be like saying na me then punch. You know, it be like saying na me then knockout. You know, the knockout was I don't know. I was feeling it in London, England, from
Yeah.
all Saudi Arabia. I don't know. I just can't process it. And I said this before when he did lose to Dricus, right? I did not feel too bad because it felt like would I say like a decent loss of some sort? You know, I think they got to like the fourth round or something, right? It was a competitive fight. And Dricus, I was always scared of Dricus because I've always respected Dricus's talent. I don't know. Maybe I probably underrated Imavov. Remember when he lost to Dricus? I told you guys the path of least resistance in the top five is Imavov, and I was calling for that fight, and I was so happy when it happened. And I thought, don't worry, he's going to dispatch Imavov. First round, I thought, okay, he's going all good until that shocker in the second round.
Until here's a bit of a backstory of what he's talking about.
Ah, no
All
way.
right, so all three of us were on a conference call on WhatsApp, and me and Ebuka's stream were very close to each other, so there was no spoilers going on. Demola's stream is like 1 minute behind, so
Yeah.
me and Ebuka had already seen the knockout, and then Demola joined the call, and then we were hearing Demola sounding like he was making babies in the room.
What? No way.
It's like, what's going on, man? However,
Man.
it's all right. It was very, very devastating. Ibuka, let me take your feedback with regards to the performance and how you felt after that knockout happened, or can you tell us how your emotions was like during fight week towards when this fight actually happened?
No, to be honest, I thought Izzy was gonna do it. I mean, we all predicted, when we did our preview on Thursday night on chat with the tycoon. We predicted that Izzy was gonna maybe come out with some kind of win, even if it's by decision or someone said knockout, vicious knockout, which is very possible if it's the Izzy that we knew and we expected. Of course, he was gonna dispatch this guy. If it's the Izzy, the contender coming up, this guy would have been no match for him. But I think the lesson to learn from this thing is this sport is very, very, very unforgiving. And you should be ready and prepared to take as much as you've given. And we've seen Easy dispatch people very easily. And it's unfortunate as well to see him getting. Of course, he won the first round. That first round, he did well. We did quite well in that round. But as the second round came on, I saw him leaving his chin a bit high in the air. And it was something I was
Like,
watching, and I was like, oh, Easy, come on, man. Try and your defense should be as good as your offense. Because he was all right offensively. He was getting some shots out, but then unfortunately, it happened, and it's unfortunate. But that's it. That's the sport, man. That's the sport, and that's why people like Habib, you need to give them their props. That's why John
Exactly.
Jones, you need to give them their props.
yeah, like
We've,
that.
you know,
So with Khabib and with John Jones, two different ball game, right? In this sport, you cannot stay on top of the sport or on top of your division as a champion in your prime for more than 3 years. 3 years is the maximum, except if you are a freak. And there's only been one freak in the history of combat sports, and that freak is John Jones. That's the
But
hmm.
anomaly.
Anderson Silva was
Anderson
Anderson was
Silva,
champion
long as
for
well.
more than 3 years. Demetrius Johnson as well was champion for more than 3 years.
well, I agree with you, right? But there's a bit of difference between what Anderson Silva and what John Jones was doing. Anderson Silva was like the first crossover like kickboxer that was actually decent at grappling, that was actually using kickboxing translated it properly into MMA, because for the longest time those kickboxers always got knocked out. And then when he brought a new style and then stayed on top of the game for too long, everybody else was training to be the next Anderson Silva. Hence why they caught up to him, right?
Yeah.
Same as Easy.
And
Easy
age
was
did catch up with him as well.
well, there's age as well. And then, well, you can say since he got knocked out by Wedum,
Chris
no,
Weidman? Chris
Chris
Weidman?
Weidman,
Yeah, Chris
yeah,
Weidman.
and that wasn't age, that was recklessness. Anyways,
Yes.
so
Extreme
coming back to Easy, all these top 5 contenders, top 10 contenders, all of them were training to beat him, right? And then, so speaking about the anomaly in John Jones was someone that mixed up everything, the striking and the wrestling, right? He fought 3 different generation of fighters, like late 2000s fighters, those guys that were out of the way, to the youngsters.
Yeah, the
We've
Rashad
seen
Evans. Yeah, the
Yes,
Lyoto
we've
Machidas.
seen him constantly beat up youngsters. He was so good, and this John Jones is so good that he beats a youngster up, and people will say he was overhyped. He was overhyped. That's how good John Jones was. So that's Khabib totally. I don't want to call Khabib a P word for running away from the sport.
He was a smart guy, to be very honest.
He
That was
is
a smart choice.
he's
In
absolutely
retrospect.
spot on. If you would make as much money as he made
Hmm.
fighting Conor McGregor, I
Hmm.
think at this point nobody will question your decision in leaving, right? But
Hmm.
let's get back to Easy now, right? What I thought was, I'll give you one name. I don't know if it will mean anything to you. Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin is a basketball player in the NBA, or was in the NBA. He came out of college with the craziest mixtape of dunks. He's like one of like the highest jumpers at the time. He was dunking out of like the arena, like flying in the air. He was big and strong. And then he got signed to Los Angeles Clippers, and
LA
he was
Clippers.
teamed up with he was teamed up with DeAndre Jordan and Chris Paul. And for a nickname for Clippers, LA Clippers, they were calling them Lob City, because all they did was throw lobs, and DeAndre Jordan or Blake Griffin would jump and catch it and put it in. So Blake Griffin became a superstar. At the time when he was at the top of his game, he was literally an A-lister. His games were must watch. Everybody went to the arena to see him. And the only thing they wanted to see was him flying in the air and dunking. Now, Blake Griffin started growing older and the athleticism started leaving. But then the problem is he has not developed the all-round game. Those reflex, those quality things, he started losing them, because he has started losing this ability to jump very high and dunk. He then became an average player, then became a bench player, and then he disappeared while he's still young, or while he's not very old in terms of basketball, right? The reason why I'm giving you this analogy is I'm trying to relate to Easy. Easy, a fantastic striker. And what people don't realize is he made his name for being one of the best counter strikers we've ever seen. And to be a counter striker, you have to submit your chin and allow yourself be in danger before you counter strike. And
Hmm.
in doing so, he's been hit so many times. In doing so, you've built reflexes for defense in your striking, right? And then there's also another disadvantage in the fact that because of the amount of fights you've got, you being Easy, there's a lot of tape for fighters to study. Fighters already know all your muscle memory of defense. They already know everything. You cannot introduce anything new anymore. That's why John Jones was great. John Jones was switching up. You cannot say this is one way that he fights. But Easy, because he's a striker, people know he moves back in a straight line, or he moves to the side, or when is the best time to counter strike him? Is he in orthodox, or is it when he switches to southpaw? They know all these things now because of tape study, and he cannot unlearn these things. So why I'm saying this is because his quickness and his reflexes was helping Easy
Oh,
in his defense to get away from strike. Now that he has started losing the speed and the reflex, right? It's easier for these guys now, after the millions of tape study they've done, to actually catch him. If you watch that fight with Imavov yesterday, the overright hand the overright right that he landed was not luck. He timed it. He tried it in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work. Izzy was still standing and it hit Izzy in the shoulder. And in my head, I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
this guy did not move away from this overhead.
It was
That's the
well
same
calculated.
motion. The
Lest I
next
forget,
second
lest I
round,
forget, real quick.
second round. Wait,
Easy
let me finish.
And Blake Griffin are actually age mates. They were both born 1989.
So there you have it. And Blake Griffin stopped playing basketball a long time ago. So so here's the thing. In the second round, when that overhand right was coming, he was still there. Same motion. Go back and watch it. You will see it. And that first round, do you remember the uppercuts that came through the middle? Caught him very nice and flush. There was a left hook that Imavov threw that did not land. If that one had landed, the fight would have finished in the first round. Um, Now this begs a question. I know I've been rambling for quite a bit, but this begs a question. What is next for Izzy? I would like to ask Ebuka first, but I feel like Demola feels like he has some shares in the business of Izzy. He feels like he's Izzy's manager. So I would ask Demola then, Demola, what's in be Izzy next step?
Previously, I was saying that he should actually retire. I said previously, this guy is actually set for life. Money is not his problem. When we saw certain people fighting way beyond their prime, we get to ask, are you owing the mafia in your country? Easy's father is a chartered accountant like myself and Ibuka. He's, put in some proper investments, especially in real estate.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
he should not be in need of money, but we understand a fighter's ego. They always want to prove something to themselves. It's actually beyond the money. However, if Easy wants to continue to fight, I'm going to put this. I'm very sorry to say this, but he has to actually make some drastic changes. First of all, he has to leave city kickboxing. I'm sorry, these guys brought you to the top, but you need to leave city kickboxing. You probably need to go train with maybe somebody like Charles Oliveira, or maybe come to London with your friend Michael Venom Page. Michael Venom Page is very elusive and he's actually been working on his jiu-jitsu lately, right?
Or
Because
even
the
go
only
to
way,
Extreme Couture as well.
yeah, the only way he can actually, switch up his game is to leave city kickboxing and, work more on the wrestling and jiu-jitsu, right? Or maybe go make friends with Khabib, and they show you how to dominate people with his grappling game was really impressive yesterday. He is actually very very strong. He's stronger than you would think he is for a skinny guy. So if he wants to stay in the game of MMA, that is the only thing, or probably just go to boxing and go earn a big payday.
Question: why would he switch camps and what changes would that make? Because I don't see an issue with his grappling. He looked very solid in that regard.
Bruh,
What is it
KB
that
have
would
a
what is
philosophy
mhm.
that he needs to be out of that environment. Their philosophy is leg, body, head. Leg, body. Go look at everybody. Navajo Sterling. What's this other guy in light heavyweight? Carlos Ulberg.
Hooker?
All
Mhm.
all of them. It's like they are programmed in the same pattern. But look at someone like Ian Gary, for example. Why do you think Ian Gary has actually been quite successful and
Yeah,
unpredictable?
his game
Because
is
he's been
well
traveling
rounded.
around the world. That's what makes you well-rounded. You travel around the world to pick up skills and everything. You yourself, Jibril Aminu that is talking, there are things you've learned from China and you use here that makes you a different individual and makes you unique and makes you bring something
By
different
the
to
way,
the
he's not
table.
he's not talking about fighting. I don't fight, but go on.
You get it. So that's just the thing with making you well-rounded. He's been with that camp. I don't know what they've done for him. Like I'm not saying they should
I think I think
paraphrase.
I, I think he's done more for them, to be honest. But go on.
Yeah, so it's high time he actually left if he wants to stay in that game of
In
fighting.
fighting.
I don't know what
Yeah.
you guys
Okay,
think,
Ebuka,
but
do
that's
you agree? Do you agree that a change of environment would be good?
Yeah, that's actually a very good point. I mean, initially, to be honest, that's not, I didn't think about it, but I think I do agree with Demola there. I think that makes sense because he's been with those guys. We haven't necessarily seen we've always known Easy is good with his hands, maybe kicks,
Hmm.
right? We haven't really
Hmm.
seen like an evolution of his game in terms of
Yes,
have we
the
seen him submit
wrestling
anybody
and
before? No.
yeah,
Have we seen
the
him sort of,
wrestling and the jiu-jitsu. He should.
yeah,
He should. Charles
yeah, and
Oliveira is shoot boxing team in Brazil. Those
Twitter
guys are
box, yeah.
extreme. Shooter box. They are very good.
Mm,
Another people he can go to is probably ATT American Top Team, or probably there's these other guys, the Fighting Nerds. Those guys
mm,
are well rounded and they're extremely good. Those guys are coming for everybody. I'm telling you,
mm.
the Fighting Nerds
Even
in Brazil.
yeah,
Those guys,
he can even
don't
go to
worry.
Sean's team as well, Strickland's team, and which is the Extreme Couture
Well,
that
Yeah,
well,
Extreme Couture.
you know,
Those guys are
those
good.
guys are good as well.
well,
Yeah, that's a good
well.
point,
So,
really.
so,
You know,
so, so I understand. I understand that changing coaches, changing gyms, changing training partners, it works very well in boxing.
Hmm.
As in, like it's like a solid thing to do in boxing for you to kind of like move and evolve as a fighter, as a boxer. I don't know if it works as well in MMA because here's the thing, right? In boxing, because of how niche it is, it's first of all, it doesn't go. I don't have to say they use only hands, and then the things that matter in a fight are not as much as in MMA, right? If you come in heavier in a heavyweight division, if you come in heavier or lighter, or if you decide to fight from the inside, if you decide to box from the outside, all those things, all those boxing philosophies that a new coach or new team would put in your game can make a difference in a fight. But in MMA, the problem is I don't I don't think changing a gym would actually do quite a lot for him. I know that you can give me an example like Kamaru Usman. He left his gym with Henry Hooft and then moved to uh, is it Dallas with forgot what that guy's name is, the striking coach. That's when Usman started knocking people out. However, um, Usman fell in love with his hands. Anyways, I'm
Are you
not trying
talking
to say
about
that
Trevor
in a
Whitman?
naughty way.
Trevor
Trevor
Whitman?
Whitman, yeah, Trevor
Yeah.
Whitman. So I
mm.
understand Usman had to change gyms at the time. The reason why he was champion and his former gym had so many welterweights, he had to make that move. But to be honest, with looking at the age of Easy and where he's from, again, you said he's comfortable. I really, really don't see the fact that changing a gym. I don't really see anything that would change significantly if he carries on, to be honest. Um, if maybe Easy decides to go the route of celebrity boxing, well, training somewhere else for boxing, I can see how that works. But MMA, man, I don't really think so. I really don't think so. Um, at this point, I'm thinking Easy starting to have like a Conor McGregor type of schedule where Conor McGregor would only pick fighters that he knows he can beat, fighters that are kind of like same level as him, maybe age wise or hype wise. But like a young killer, Conor McGregor wouldn't fight a person like that. But looking at Easy like this now, I don't know how many fights he has left in his contract with the UFC. But if the UFC would want to give him a fight that would be sort of like a spectacle, not necessarily an important fight for a title, who might that person be? Have you guys thought about it?
The person that he's gonna fight.
Jiri
Mm,
Prohashka. Jiri Prohashka.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
I know.
Two
What
former
that means
This
he's
champions.
going to light heavyweight,
no. Julie
Jiri,
wants to
Jiri has
come
always
down to
talked about coming
she
down
wants to
to
come
middleweight.
come
coming
down to
down.
middleweight.
Okay,
Yeah.
then it makes sense. It makes sense then.
And it
Yeah.
doesn't make sense to me. I know Julie is too dangerous. Julie is too
Uh,
dangerous. Julie is too dangerous. But me personally, if you selfishly ask me, I would want Easy to transition into WWE. But that's a very controversial topic to talk
He,
about
he should
for a
actually
lot of
do
people.
boxing. He has tried boxing before and he's quite good at it. So he
Yeah,
should
he
come to
probably should.
boxing. Get a good
Yeah,
payday, man.
him and one of those Paul brothers, he will make money when he fights them. One of those Paul brothers. Um,
Jake Paul, he will destroy, he will
yeah,
annihilate
but before
Jake Paul.
before we go on, I feel like we're rambling here. Let's give some love to Imavov. Uh, I noticed online that every MMA podcast, everybody is talking about how Easy lost. They're not talking about how Imavov won, right?
He's a
So
villain.
let's give love to Imavov.
That's why he's a star.
Imavov, yeah, Imavov was very careful. He did his homework. He
Mhm.
understood he selected his shots properly. He wasn't very busy in there, but he selected his shots and obviously got the knockout.
He was efficient.
Yeah. Um, Ebuka, what do you think about Imavov, about his performance, and also now we've got two number one contenders for the middleweight title. There's a middleweight title fight coming up next week,
Yeah.
but now we've got two clear number one contenders in Chimaev and Imavov. What do you think the
I
UFC
mean,
will do? And first of all, give Imavov his roses, please.
yeah, no, you have to give it to him. I mean, he's beaten easy, and there's no mean feats. That's probably how he came. It wasn't an easy fight for him, but I don't know. Based on the people in that division right now, that middleweight division, I don't know if this is his ceiling. This is him. I'm not sure about him becoming champion. Sean versus DDP is going to be this weekend, and we'll see what happens there. I expect DDP to win that one. So I think that leaves Imavov versus DDP because that easy fight now versus DDP is probably gone now. That match is gone. So I
Mm.
think that will be the next fight in that division. Will it be in Africa? Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, that's it. But I still that means, in my opinion, if you ask me to predict, I think DDP beats Strickland and retains again versus Imavov, meaning that he's coming on a run now. I don't know how many title that this is all prediction, of course. How many title runs that would be? That would mean defending his title what 3 times, which I think is deserving for another African champion. I think we all forget that DDP is an African champion, so let's give him that flowers. He's one of our own. So yeah. So I think that's what happens. I don't see Imavov really beating the Dracos. He already lost to Sean Strickland. So I think he's still a bit limited in terms of he still has issues with he's Dagestani or whatever, but he still has issues with the grappling. He's still a very much stand-up guy. And
The thing with
but when
Imavov, the thing with Imavov is if he waits for a title shot, he's probably gonna fight for a title next year. Because okay, let's even ignore the ignore the fact that uh let's not ignore the fact that there's a main event between Dracos and Strickland. If for any reason Strickland beats Dracos in a very close fight again, there'll be a trilogy, and Shimaev still has to wait, right?
mm,
So Chimaev, now let's assume Dracos wins. If Dracos is fighting in February, he will fight maybe towards the end of this year and then fight again next year. Last year, Dracos had 2 title fights. This year, he's probably going to have two title fights. If Chimaev gets his get, right, Imavov is still left behind. So
mm,
what is he meant to do? Is he going to stay inactive for a whole year just because he's got a title fight? Or that is
take the
him
rematch with Sean.
essentially pulling off a Leon Edwards. Remember when Leon Edwards decided to stay out for over a year just to get a title shot? So
Yeah.
will it be best for him to go out there and make some money and fight another fight, and maybe this time the UFC call it a title decider? I don't know if the UFC will be like, okay, Imavov, you fight Chimaev. I don't think the UFC wants to cancel out Chimaev because I think it's not going to be a very, very easy fight for Chimaev. Um, what do you think about this whole situation in this middleweight? It's almost a very good situation for the UFC because there's a bit of there are multiple storylines going in the division, unlike the welterweight division that is shite. In the middleweight, it's a bit exciting now. We kind of there's a kind of a structure into like
It has
who's up
opened
next,
up.
who's up next. Yeah. What are your thoughts, Demola?
So I like the way it's opening up. It's always interesting to see a competitive division. Oh, now Imavov has to wait for Chimaev. That gave me interesting stuff,
Mhm.
right? So, I think in terms of star power,
Yeah.
the UFC would actually want to give Chimaev that title shot because he's long overdue for that title shot. However, with the constraints we know he's currently experiencing, uh, they might actually give it to Imavov, right? So there are a lot of moving variables here, and it's actually difficult to predict. So it all depends on who is ready at the time that DDP is actually ready to defend the belt. Like you rightly said, he's defending the belt February, and hopefully our expectation is that DDP actually beats Strickland convincingly. So Strickland gets back in line uh, to wait for, to regroup basically. And Strickland is actually not getting any younger. I think he might probably want to retire or probably want to fight contenders all over again. So I really don't see that possibility of Imavov versus Chimaev because it's going to be a canceling out of two up would I say fast rising and guys that are up and coming. So I think what is going to happen is it all depends on who is ready at the time DDP is actually ready to defend the belt between Chimaev and Imavov. The preference is actually Chimaev. Let's not lie. Even though Imavov is going to be higher ranked right now, Imavov is going to be number two. Chimaev is going to be number three. I don't know what is going to come down to. Probably number four.
Easy will come
So
back to 4 or 3.
yeah, probably
Will come
four.
back to 3.
I
Come
was
back to
just
three.
thinking about it
It
when
means
you were
Chimaev is
just
going to go down
mentioning.
to four. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what a good fight would be?
What?
I think if Strickland loses to Drakus, I
Hmm.
think Strickland versus Easy 2 is a good fight.
Yeah. They could make that one again. Yeah.
Yeah,
And Strickland would
they could
definitely love
actually.
that one. Yeah.
And of course, if Strickland does
Yeah,
lose,
that one.
Mhm.
Strickland might actually come down to number two, and Imavov becomes number one. How
No,
about
it
that?
doesn't work like that.
It's
Imavov just
possible.
took Easy's number, which
Two.
is 2.
Yeah, he
So
just took
it's
number
gonna be
two,
2. So
and
if you
Strickland
go
is
down
number
to 3,
one. Strickland
exactly.
is number one,
It doesn't affect
right?
Strickland if he loses.
If
Doesn't affect him.
Well,
let's wait
well,
and
the
see. It
well the
might.
rankings is the rankings is rubbish anyways.
It's crazy.
Mm.
All
It's
right,
crazy.
let's talk about the co-main event. Co-main event
Whoa,
we
we are
saw
happy for that one. We are happy for that
we saw
one.
Michael Venom Page make his
I
middleweight
am the
debut
new
in the
captain.
he made his middleweight debut as he took on the fast rising undefeated Dagestani striker in Shara Magomedov. All right, a lot of talk was going into this fight. Obviously, Shara Bullet was the favorite going in. The betting odd maker said Shara Bullet will win the fight, but MVP said hold my beer. And obviously, MVP danced and danced and danced until the end of the fight. A couple of judges gave it 30-27. One judge saw it as a 29-28. I'm just going to say one thing. Yeah? Just a second. Let me just get into this. That guy says in the live chat, he says, yo, I don't know if Adesanya will ever a next level fighter. I think Adesanya was all aura. The guys he fought were fighting the myth, not the man. All the guys he fought, Cannon, Vittori, Whitaker, and Alex.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah, I almost forgot.
So
This sport
Whitaker
is
yeah,
is
not. This
fighting.
sport.
Wow.
This sport is not
mm,
nice.
Yeah.
Once you
yeah,
lose,
yeah.
Yeah. All of
It's
a sudden,
it's
all these
it's.
guys are not good enough now.
yeah, once you
Well,
lose,
let's
hmm,
get back. Let's get back to this coming right. MVP came in there, and you can see from the body size, you can tell that Shara Bullet was bigger. However, Shara Bullet had all the hype in the world from most, especially that a part of the world, as a fantastic striker coming from there. And if you remember, I told you guys this fight is a unanimous decision victory for MVP. I don't see a knockout happening between these two
hmm,
guys. And if Shara wins the fight, everybody is going to shout that it's a robbery for MVP because of how close it was. It's going to be. It was going to be. But well, it ended up not even being a split victory. MVP took the whole thing. It wasn't very exciting of a fight, if you would say.
For the
Going in the
casual,
third round, yeah, in the third round there was a bit. Uh, I think MVP
no
got touched a
action.
bit. He stopped showboating as he usually does. Um, yeah. So thoughts about MVP in the middleweights in the Coleman last night. Ibuka, what do you think?
Yeah, it was. To be honest, yeah, I hear you there when you say it wasn't a very interesting fight. But for me, it's a fight. The fight is a fight. People don't need to. You don't need to see blood for you to enjoy the fight. And I think MVP stance, man. I wouldn't love to fight that guy, man. Like his
Sorry.
stance is just so odd. It's just so odd.
Awkward.
You just don't know how to go, where to go, and what to do. And yeah, I could sense the frustration on Sharabulet's face. I could just sense that the guy was just frustrated. He didn't know what to do to the guy. You know, someone dancing around you on the canvas. It was. I think I liked it. It was more technical than anything. I think it's a fight. You know, if you want to take it, come and get it. Right. That's what it is. Or that also, I think, exposed Sarabulet's grappling deficit. He couldn't necessarily get to this guy to be able to even grab him and take him down. It'll be interesting to see MVP versus Kamza, that's for sure, to see what's going to happen there. I don't know if that's going to happen, but yeah, I think it was kudos to MVP. He just danced around, you know, touched this guy. He came out of the fight without any bruises or anything. Most of the shots that Sharabulet sort of touched him weren't really significant. They were just, in his hand or and MVP also touched him with a lot of leg kicks as well. You know, that was also another thing that sort of made it interesting. Yeah, I think it was a good one. Really interesting fight. Happy for my guy MVP. Shout out to MVP again. Again we met. Me and Demola met him last year. We're gonna keep doing it. So because there's evidence.
Yeah, if you don't get
So
evidence, you do explain
shout
tire.
out to MVP, my man.
Wow,
Is it
I'm actually happy for him.
um we've got a question from Tristan Schuhorst. Tristan says, what do you guys think about contenders prospect Josias Musasa and Ateba Gautier? Both guys came through Genoa White Contender Series last year.
Yeah,
Both guys got fights coming up this year, next month actually, right?
in
So
March. Yeah,
yeah,
Josias
yeah.
Musasa is fighting March 15 against a certain Carlos Vera. And
And
the Ateba guy, I think he's from
he's fighting
Cameroon.
March 29. Yeah, he's from Cameroon. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
it's a middleweight.
and
The
that guy fought
the Ateba
that
guy.
guy that yeah, Ateba fought in WSC, which is a promotion in Benin Republic.
Hmm.
He literally scrapped from the beginning, man. Um, that's one that went beneath the radar. But Josias Musasa was kind of loud. Big
Yeah,
shout out.
he
I
did beat
can't.
somebody in the contender series. I think it was a
Yeah,
TKO. Yura
a
Naito.
Japanese. Yeah, a Japanese guy, didn't he?
Hmm.
All right. Yeah, I can't wait. The person I'm most anticipating for
They
is
are
Josias
promising.
Musasa.
They're actually
Yeah,
promising.
Josias Musasa has dynamite in his hand. I think he has changed his name now. He used to be the KO Wizard. I think he has a new nickname now. Um, all right. Moving on. Uh, I think Easy should fight loser of
Mm.
Strickland DDP, which is exact comes at most MVP without stress. Not just comes at anybody that has anybody that has a good grapple game in the middleweights would maul MVP.
He says without stress. That is wicked,
speaking
bro.
about speaking about fights being exciting, right? Ah, guys, how about that fight between our boy Zalal versus Mike Davis? Wait just a second.
Yusuf Zalal, the Moroccan guy,
You said
the Moroccan
yes.
devil. I said it. I
There
said
were
it.
lots of blood
He
in
was
Wait,
that
going to
one.
win. He was going to win, bruv. And he was the
wait.
underdog.
Wait, was it Zalal?
Yes, Yusuf
Uh,
Zalal. Uh, Ziam, rather.
Ziam,
Ziam
yeah,
versus Mike Davis.
Faiz
Yeah.
Ziam, yeah, Faiz
yeah,
Ziam,
Farziam, yeah.
yeah, the French Algerian guy.
Hmm.
So that fight, I think
He,
it opened the main card. That fight was
yeah,
bloody, wasn't it? There was a point in that fight that Ziam's leg was twisted in the
yeah, it
second
was
round. Did
twisted.
you see
He's
how they
quite
twisted?
flexible.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
he
guy is
wiggled out. He
flexible.
wiggled out of it, and I think
Yeah,
he need I think is it Mike? I'm sorry, is it Mike? The
yeah, Mike
who did he
Davis.
fight? Yeah, yeah. He
Mike
need
Davis,
him in
if
the
I'm not
yeah.
incorrect.
He
Yeah,
need Mike Davis in the head, and it was a bloodbath. It's what I like to see. It's what I like to see. I like seeing sweat and blood, and I like seeing
sweat,
people
blood, and
actually
tears.
scrapping. Yeah, I think
Uh,
wait, was it that fight that won fight of the night? I can't remember which fight did, but
He
that fight
must
was
have he
really,
must
really
have
good.
one fight of the night.
Yeah, I think that was the fight of the night, and Imavov and somebody else won the performance of the night.
And how boring was Sergei Pavlovich versus Jairzinho Rozenstruik?
Yeah, that one,
Your big sweaty men, or what do you call them?
man.
That
Yeah.
Yes,
was
my
that
big
was just
sweaty men were they were not swinging. They were not
that was
swinging.
No,
that was just
no.
Both guys were
that was
scared of
just
each other.
snooze. That was a
Yeah, I
snooze
It
think
fest.
was
Sergey
it was
Sergey now
horrible.
Sergey is see Sergey, this wasn't the Sergey that we saw coming up until he met the English guy. Obviously, I think he's lost something. He just was shy to shoot in that
Yeah,
fight.
he's
Normally he
trigger
will come in
shy.
and
He's
knock these
trigger
guys
shy
out,
now.
but
Yeah.
And
And
like he
now I
knocked
see why Jibril said or says that he actually looks like a construction engineer. I could just see it. I'm like, okay, okay. I
oh,
see.
you see why? I swear to God, that guy when he walks out, he looks like if you see him and you don't even know that he's from Russia, you can tell that guy is Russian because I don't think that guy even smiles at home, and he looks like an honest worker that like what do Americans call them? Blue collar people, the ones that go to construction sites. Is that what they call?
mm,
I don't care what the Americans call them. You know what the Zimbabwean people call them? They call them dagger
Eh,
boys. They're dagger
oh,
boys.
yeah, that guy looks like he works hard for his money. Well, he does work hard for his money.
He looks like a
Um,
dagger boy, bro.
he's a very very big heavy hitter. I had so much hopes for this fight. To be honest, they kind of let me down. If you don't know, I'm a very big fan of the heavyweights, but just because we don't get to see the judges, just because we see big sweaty men hitting each other, that's why I'm a big fan of the heavyweights. And there were three heavyweight fights on that card last night. The one with the Egyptian Hamdi, which was a snooze fest. However,
another smooth
the
first. Yeah,
the second heavyweight fight that had that Russian guy,
Shamil,
uh,
Gaziev versus Thomas Patterson.
Oh, that's true. The
yes,
fight of the night was Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Vinicius Oliveira.
Oliveira. Yeah,
That fight was
that was a good
tough.
that was a good fight. I big shout out to Oliveira, the Brazilian kid. He absolutely did what we're not used to seeing. That is make a Dagestani tire out. And it wasn't nice to see Said Nomagedov. He probably needs to change his last name, to be honest.
Maybe
Yeah,
they'll
to be
force him to
honest,
do that.
To
that
Aminu.
Saudi card that's that Saudi card wasn't too interesting, to be honest. That Saudi card. Vince Bertone said Drake the king of Africa. White boys rule.
Enjoy it while it lasts, you know. No king reigns
Yeah.
forever.
Gosh. You know, you know what's funny? What's funny is this Vince fella thinks that he's going to trigger us if he says white boys rule. Dude, you are the one that is looking like a clown. Let me just put your face on the screen one more time for the people in the back. If in case you didn't see, this is the face.
Give him
This is the
Dorime, give him
face.
Dorime.
Yes, one Dorime, 5 bottles of NSC for Vince Bertone.
He said
Unbelievable,
5 bottles of
unbelievable.
NSC VSOP. He said one for the DJ, one for the head man.
Certainly,
He said one for the
certainly.
staff, two for in table.
Yes. Yusuf Ziam, Courageous says the co-main are also boring. Yeah, there were quite a few boring fights in that card. Um, I just subscribed my my dodgy
Tripod?
fire stick.
Okay.
My dodgy fire stick. So I put it on the big TV in the because for almost a year now I was watching UFC on my PC here. And then recently I had my dodgy fire stick activated. So I actually sat down and watched most of this fight on in the big TV in the living room. And again, the starting time was very, very favorable because it happened in Saudi. I just wish the UFC would continue doing doing fights this early, but of course it would not happen. All right. I think that's just about it. Uh we did a preview. We did a preview uh, of this fight on Ebuka's podcast. That's Chat with the Tycoon. Ebuka does previews for fights every time before they come up. So thank you, Ebuka, for having us.
Yeah.
And his channel is linked in the bio. So feel
Yeah,
free
we're
to.
doing another one this Thursday as well. Of course, for the fights this weekend, we're going to be previewing the Dricus Duplessis versus Sean Strickland. And who is that clown? The person, Vince Beton. I hope you come and join us as well on Thursday evening so that you can do some of those comments. Thank you very much.
Vince Berton, your
Quick one.
papa. Oh,
Quick
all
one,
right, then what
Jibril.
about you?
Quick one,
Yeah,
Jibril. Right. So
yeah.
I just got a chat from my friend. Right. Someone close to the UFC, and this person is saying this. The team isn't the issue. I've seen these fighters before. He's just done. His body and mental response has changed in fights. The warrior has gone dormant. And that is what this person has to say about Israel Adesanya. And this speaks to what I was saying previously. I think it's always good to leave the fight game before the fight game leaves you.
Yeah.
And that is why I very, very, very much respect Khabib Nurmagomedov. He aligns with something one of my lecturers in uni used to say: the orator leaves when the ovation is loudest, and that is what Khabib did. That is a mistake. What's his name? Anderson Silva made, and it has kind of
Yeah.
tarnished his legacy. Anderson Silva should always be in the GOAT debate, but what happened?
Because of the many
So
losses, it
that's
kind of
yeah. So
dented him a little bit.
yeah, we saw what GSP did when he came back and won the middleweight championship. What did he do? He just he left it.
Yeah.
You don't. It's always good to know when to stop. Don't go over the top. You know.
Well, before
That's
I
what I'm
sign
gonna
off,
say.
I think I don't live in Easy's head, but I'm thinking Easy was waiting for one last hurrah so he can leave the sports in a good,
That's
positive
what
light.
always
So I think,
happens, man.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like he was like, okay, I take Imavov, and then I get a
And then
title
I
fight,
think, yeah,
and then in the title fight, if I win or I lose, I'm gonna leave my
I
gloves in the
do.
cage. I think that's what he wanted to do. Obviously, it didn't turn out that way. I think Kamaru Usman was probably thinking the same thing as well. I think Usman, when he even fought Leon Edwards, he was probably thinking, I have only 2 title defense left for me.
Yeah.
So, but then, man,
Usman's own is
it's
still
just
is
brutal.
Usman's own was very, very painful, very because of the way that fight was going, and because of the fact that he would have tied Anderson Silva,
Hmm.
and he could have picked anyone in the division to break to break that record. Very, very painful. I still remember that fight like yesterday. Very, very painful. You
But
know,
you're
All
almost
right.
there.
he was within seconds of anyway, let's not talk
Our
about
boy
it
Mayowa
anymore.
was there, and he was crying. He made a
Yeah.
grown man
He was within
cry.
he was in the I think that
He
fight
was in
was
the
it
arena.
had entered the last minutes of that
Of the
fight.
fifth round.
That was when it happened. The last
All right,
minute.
all right, all right, all right, all right. Something will come up if we don't quit it now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We really, really appreciate
Jibril
you
will cry
sticking with
if we
us.
don't quit.
Please, please hit the like button. Hit the like button. We really appreciate it. That is it from the African Fighters. Me,
We are out.
Ebuka,
Cheers,
and
guys.
Let's
Kingdoms of the Kingdoms podcast.
go.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Love you and bye.